virtual visit to CJ Century, an event organized by Faculty of Science, Universiti Tunku Abdul Rahman, with collaboration CJ Century Logistics, Sdn Bhd in Port Klang. So today we will hear, we will see the actual warehouse which being operated by CJ Century. So without further ado, I'll give this session to TS Afwan Hakim for the event. Last note to the participant, please mute your microphone during the event, and if you have any questions, please write in the meeting chat or ask during the question and answer session. Okay, Mr. Afwan, the floor is yours. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Before that, I saw that Miss Uvarani raised up her hand. May I know? Miss Uvarani? Oh, okay, okay. I thought she would like to ask
Sorry
something.
for disturb. Some of my friends cannot join.
Cannot join?
Yeah, some of my friends cannot join. They're not able to join.
Not able to join?
Unable.
Yeah.
Can you try sharing the link with them directly instead of the invite?
All right. Miss Uvarani, can you see in chat box? Okay, there's a link there. Try to share the link with them. Hopefully, they can join us as soon as possible.
Okay, so thank you.
All right. So, okay, thank you, Dr. Azam, for opening up the session. And I would like to send my utmost gratitude to CJ Century for materializing this event today. Right, is as we know, current situation, pandemic COVID-19, okay, limiting us to interact more with the industry, but somehow we found that this is one of the way that we can communicate and expose our student to the uh, to the to the actual life as a logistician, warehouse experiencing, and so forth. All right, let me approve some of those who waiting in the lobby first. All right, okay. So before that, I would like to introduce this is Mr. Fidaus from CJ Century to all the students. Yeah, okay. He particularly involved in a project. Okay, floating those project that has been assigned. get get those project back on track. Definitely, yeah, that's a challenge. In especially when we involve in project. Okay, setting up, make it smooth, control the flow, prepare SOP, lots of work.
Yeah.
Right. So, Mr. Fidos, may I maybe perhaps you can spend some minute to introduce yourself to the audience.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Yeah, they call me Mr. Fidaus, but I rather you call me Dosh. Everybody call me Dosh here, not Department of Occupational Safety and Health, just Dosh. Okay. I'm with CJ Century for more than 5 years. 4 years in business development, and then now 1 year in contract logistics, managing projects, doing setting up, doing cleanup, and also do a hypercare for new accounts. Um, with me here, I have Jen from PR, public relations. Yeah, Eteng, she's from HR. So any HR related questions later, if you guys have, you guys can ask, and then we'll get every one of them to answer. I have Husna and Aida also from Solutions. They are from the marketing segment. Five of us. Do I have anybody else from CJ? Nope. I am actually presenting from the actual warehouse that we'll be presenting. Um, yeah, we call it virtual visit, but we actually did we did a video edit of the whole presentation today. So it wouldn't be a long one. It will be a 2-minute video first, and then I've also prepared a 9-minute video if you want to ask for details. Okay, so how we're going to do this is we're going to make it really short and quick, company profile, and then a little bit of profile on the warehousing side, and then generally talking about Tupperware business. If you guys are familiar with Tupperware, plastic business, your water bottles, eco bottles are the most popular items I think recently. So we'll talk about Tupperware and then a little bit on career. Then I probably can give you guys an hour to do a Q&A. So anybody who has questions on details, on the operations or anything, please feel free to ask. How many people do we have now?
We have about 147 as of now.
Okay.
But
So,
the number will keep increasing, Dosh.
okay. Ni macam tengok wayang ni. Ada shot gambar lah.
Definitely.
Okay, let me just try to share my screen first. No, I'm not sure about the bandwidth. I'm actually on 5G here, so I should be okay. Yeah, 8 contents here. You guys are ready. I think let's just start with this. So the flow of presentation will be first corporate video, then corporate profile, a little bit on warehouse profile, and then the video on our Tupperware warehouse, which we will showcase today. And then talk a little bit about Tupperware business, the process flows in a simplified manner, which I will allow you guys to ask me more detailed questions. And then a little bit on the career talk, and then your Q&A that we have received actually yesterday from the Teams channel. Okay, 7 minutes in, and I have only 53 minutes to settle all this. I try to finish it as fast as possible so that you guys have more time to ask. So please, be as detailed as you can, pay as much attention as you can. Not very often that we get the opportunity to do something like this, moving about close to 200 people through a warehouse. So usually kalau you guys do warehouse visit pun satu bus with 40-50 people. So this is probably the most people looking at one warehouse virtually. So yeah, good luck to us. First time for me too. So I'll give you guys like 30 seconds, then we'll start with the whole program. Okay? Anybody else want to top up anything?
So basically, this video will explain and share to the students on what is CJ Century Warehouse all about, some corporate information, and additional information related with CJ Century.
Yes.
Right, Dosh?
Correct. And yeah, for the students also, I think they are in the syllabus, there's no pandemic situation in the syllabus, right? So I'm happy to answer pandemic related question to our business. It's been very challenging. We're not because to our side with the pandemic, it's not an easy journey for us. We still have to operate out there, and the volumes are increasing, especially for e-commerce. Consumers are buying because they're not spending on unnecessary. For example, if without the pandemic, they'll be spending on parking lots, movie tickets, buying popcorns, all like that. But without all this, they're not spending money there. So they have actually a lot of dispensable.
They have
yeah.
additional money to be spent, right?
Yes, correct. So they spend on items rather than experiences.
So they Shopee a lot.
A lot. I mean, if you can visit our parcel hub now, it's like boleh lah lawan dengan Gunung Kinabalu dia punya barang dia.
Is sort of disaster for logistician to have that kind of situation.
Yeah. And also the challenge is when you have that much volume moving when we are also exposed to the risk. So when one branch ada a few staff who got caught positive, then we have to close the facility for a few days, sanitize. So that one disrupt the operation further.
Yeah, it will disrupt the whole flow for that branch.
And then even for us, challenge in terms of the office staff as well. All this while they've been desktop bounded. Then we have to change everybody to have laptops so that they can move around. And then we have to invest in more printers and scanners so that they don't need to carry all the documents home. So a lot of adoption have been done.
So transform business to become more digitalized or somehow like that?
Something like that. Yeah, even contracts, contracts you want it to be signed there and then, on in physical, but during pandemic, all these processes will be further delayed. The vetting and everything is done on digital platform, but the signing still have to be physical.
Yes, yes, definitely. Because uh, meeting face to face become a bit limited nowadays, right?
Correct. Yeah.
There are restriction of 10 kilometers, etc. And Selangor from today onwards, right? PKPD.
EMCO.
Yes, CMCO. Uh,
Yeah, with EMCO, we are only allowed to operate from 8 to 8. So, yeah, imagine currently I'm running a 24-hour warehouse. Suddenly I have to squeeze it into a 1/3. So, I mean, after this call, definitely a lot of negotiations need to be done with our customers in terms of the output that we can do, and then what kind of commitments they can give to their customers,
so,
and then how else we can go about it.
so, uh, from 24-hour compressed to 12 hours, do you hiring more people
Uh,
for to cope with that situation?
we can't really because kita ada limit, the 60%.
Yeah, 60%, correct.
Yes, we are only, so technically
So,
what we can do at this point is mainly operation strategy, how we want to maximize the output within that time frame. So a lot of,
within the limited number of human resource.
yes, so a lot of strategies have changed lah. I mean, like instead of we do line picking, we do bulk picking, something that can speed up the increase the output. Of course, we have to also manage the compromise between speed and accuracy lah when it comes to all these picking activities. But yeah, I'm just giving clues for the students so that later they can ask questions. I welcome most. I don't want to be the person who be talking for 2 hours. My tekak pun ada limit. So so yeah, I mean, I wanted to be just setting expectation for everybody. Just make it as engaging as possible. Anything you need to know, as much as I try to paint the picture inside your head, please, if you're not sure, just ask. And then I think like we can continue this conversation also offline. When emails here back and forth, you can facilitate these student questions because, you know, I want to make sure that they understand the whole thing because from what I understand, from school to industry, the gap is still huge. You learn theory in school, but when it comes to practice, it becomes it's a totally different experience. So we have logistics students who can't even cope up with the actual operation. So my job here is to actually bridge that gap and make sure that everybody is at least 10-20% industry ready when they come into the logistics sector.
Yeah,
Okay.
I have to say I agree with that. There are still gap between academics and practitioner.
True.
Sometimes we can see that the gap is too wide. That sometimes we're hiring fresh graduate,
Mm.
and we need to spend more time training them.
Yes, true.
And when training means that we're spending more money on them also.
Yeah.
But that's the limitation that we have at the academic industry lah. Because not everything can be exposed to the student because of our limitation. We don't have our own lab, warehouse lab, for example. So the only way for us to bridging this gap is by actually having this kind of visits. Physical visit would be more beneficial, but actually, but a virtual visit also will do somehow,
Yeah.
exposing the student to the reality of logistician, how they work, how much challenge that they face every day, what
Mm.
kind of challenge, and sometimes everyday challenge is different. Okay, for
Yeah.
those hunger for challenge, it will be the very best industry for them to hop on when they work later.
Yeah. True. It's like Lego, a new toy every day.
Yeah, you can create many sequence using Lego, right?
Okay. All right. So I think let's start with the sequence of event. Again, good morning, everybody. Um, I'm just going to open the corporate video right now. You can still hear my voice while this is.
Yes, we can hear your voice, but uh, this video without voice, right?
You guys can get the video?
We
Yes,
can watch. You can watch the video, but there's no sound.
No sound?
Minimum sound,
Yep.
minimum sound. There are sound, but minimum
Oh, there's
sound.
sound.
Hold on, huh?
Dosh, I think you did not include computer sound with the video, with the sharing button.
You guys not getting the sound?
No, we are not getting the sound.
Yes, we are not getting sound.
Hold on. Oh,
Maybe you,
already
maybe
include with the sound.
or you forgot to include the sound.
Already included. Let's try again.
All
and
right, now
Southeast
we can
Asia.
Now, okay.
Now we can hear the sound.
Alright. Ada sound eh?
Ada sound, ada
Start
sound.
mula, tak apa. Start dari mula.
Daripada mula. Okay.
Hmm.
Right.
Era of integrated global market. Supply chain system optimization is the key to increase company competitiveness. Now, we take a big stride forward with one-stop solution based on the worldwide global network and a cutting-edge system. The global SCM innovator, CJ Logistics. CJ, a global lifestyle company, leads the lifestyle of people all over the world. Food and food service, bio and pharma, logistics and retail, and entertainment and media. CJ Group creates the culture of cosmopolitan people in 4 major areas. CJ Logistics, the key engine of CJ Group and the leader of global logistics innovation, takes the lead with our customers at all times. With countries including the US, China, and Southeast Asia. Our logistical territory further expands with its worldwide network. CJ Logistics, with its TES-based advanced logistics technology, rich know-how on supply chain operation, and IT solution, has established one-stop logistics service optimized for each customer. TES, the key competence of CJ Logistics, quickly responds to the changing logistics market to create the new logistics paradigm. State-of-the-art and future logistics technologies, such as convergence robotics and intelligence technology. Engineering that optimizes for the entire supply chain. System and solution based on IoT technology. Smart technology and consulting with expertise, presenting an optimized solution for customers in various sectors. This is the globally recognized competitiveness of CJ Logistics. CJ Logistics established a one-stop solution for the entire logistics field. Industry group-specific sales know-how and cutting-edge IT solutions. Total service of contract logistics. Based on the huge-scale domestic, overseas infrastructure and directly operated system, stable services are provided. #1 market share and customer satisfaction in South Korea. The company realizes #1 parcel service. From imports and exports of marine air transportation to customer clearance and storage. With diverse stevedoring equipment and facilities, CJ Logistics provides optimal marine cargo stevedoring and transportation service. Based on diverse EPC equipment and transportation know-how, CJ Logistics Project Logistics provides a stable logistics service for domestic, overseas planned, special, and break bulk cargoes. CJ Logistics always stays as a reliable global partner to customers. CJ Logistics has the whole world as a stage. CJ Logistics is broadening its market across the world with a global logistical network. Our one-stop solution will always be with customers.
Holding on with all our hands, wishing for futures. We hold our hands up high. We are the best, CJ.
The global SCM innovator, CJ Logistics.
Yeay, tepuk tangan. Okay, how's the video so far? I mean, let me get my volume up to the level that I can hear. So, that's our international video, including some local content over there. So, next be presenting the corporate profile. I think we're pretty popular in the market, so just a little bit of history. We are 51 years old this year. Century started in 1970, and then we were listed in Bursa in 2001. Then we became we were partially acquired by CJ in 2016, and then now we are 5 years with the Korean brothers. And I have like 4 Koreans here with me at the warehouse since with the implementation of the new system. Okay, that's a quick one on CJ. 5 pillars, I think as of yesterday, right, Jen? We are letting go number 5. So #1, integrated logistics, which is your everyday logistics, freight forwarding, contract logistics, and trucking and haulage.
Yes, you're right.
Yep, cool. Thanks, Jen. I can't hear pointer. Hold on. Pointer. All right, it's back. Then procurement logistics is we're in the business of assembly. We buy parts from materials, parts from everywhere around the world based on our customer requirement. Then we assemble. We put together aircon units, TVs, and also a lot of electrical items on behalf of the customer. We also do the distribution to the end consumers and warranty management for procurement logistics. We have an assembly plant in Port Klang. Oil logistics is technically a floating warehouse south of Malaysia. We have about, I think, 6 vessels operating. This is all the places when you want to transit the oil supplies and also supplies for all the moving vessels around the area. Pillar number 4 is technically paper logistics. All the documents that our customer has, we scan them, we index them, and then we store them in our warehouse. Pretty much like a recall business. Generally, this is a interesting market to explore because a lot of offices are carrying papers, and these are eating up their square footage in their office. So outsourcing this allows them to have a more effective space usage for people to generate more business, while maintaining the cost of storing all this. So the fifth one, I think more popular one, is the parcel business. But I think as of yesterday, we've announced at Bursa that we have released this CJ parcel operation to CJ LEM. They are now a standalone company, but we're still operating like brothers and sisters under the same physical roof in Bukit Raja. Okay. As I explained, integrated logistics, end-to-end services, freight forwarding, transportation, warehousing, and also other value-added services. We have about 4.7 million square footage of warehouse, mainly in the Klang Valley and Johor area. We are expanding to northern and other parts of Malaysia soon. We also have warehouses in East Malaysia. We are looking also into the integrated factory logistics solution. This is our facility in Kemaman, CJ Bio. We built warehouse there to support their production. For haulage and trucking, we have 280 moves daily, and for trucking, we have 100 trips daily. We still own a lot of assets for our haulage, but for our trucking, we have looked into outsourcing, and we also soon to be implementing the system to manage all these vendors and also route planning. Freight business is one of our biggest revenue contributors. We are moving about 21,000 containers a year, and we're also doing clearance for 80,000 containers per year. Oil logistics, like I mentioned earlier, is the floating warehouse in the south of Malaysia. We have four floating storage units with 858 jobs per year. Procurement logistics is the assembly business. We assemble about 22,000 units a month, and then OEM about 15,000 units per month. So you can look here, we do TVs about 300k units per year, and for household other electrical items about 300k units per year. Data management logistics, aka paper logistics. We store about 25,000 boxes. We digitize and index about 250, about 250,000 pages every month. Last mile logistics, the parcel business. We have a lot of vehicles we've invested on. We also have the sophisticated, I would say, sorting hub at our Bukit Raja facility. So the key of our business is investing in the right places, putting money where it can benefit us the most and benefit our stakeholders the most. We have now about 1,700 employees after the synergization of CJ Korea Express and CJ Century last 2 years. We acquire a lot of standards and certifications from the government bodies in compliance. We also vendors to Telecom Malaysia, Tenaga Nasional, and also we also part of the MTO license, multi-transport operator. So one of the key areas, I think everybody talk about CJ will be mostly about the full-fledged system. We have the ILIS XE for the freight management. We have the end solutions for the warehouse and transport. And the visibility system will come in when we have a much more overall or much more sizable project coming in. So that's pretty much where we have in the corporate profile. I am at half an hour right now with everything. So let's just move on to the next item. Any questions so far, everybody? I'm just going to give you 1 minute to come up with anything, then I will jump on to the next one. Nope.
Josh, we do have a question.
Ah,
What does
what
CJ mean?
What does CJ mean? Oh, I have my boss here, Encik Zanil. Maybe Zanil can explain what is CJ. CJ stands for Child Jedang, but I forgot what Child Jedang means.
Okay, good morning. Okay, so basically, CJ Childredang means the first sugar. Okay, basically, CJ started off as a company that manufactures sugar, like company CSR, Central Sugar. So basically, they started off with that, and then as time went by, they just evolved into a conglomerate of so many getting into so many other industries, from entertainment, logistics, pharma, and so forth. Okay, so I think if you can get more details, we'll provide you the exact link for you to get the history of CJ.
Yeah, but yeah, in short, it's a Korean word. Any more questions before we go to the next point?
If you have question, please feel free to type it at the chatting box, or you can open up your mic and ask question.
Cik Afan tolong monitor sana sebab saya pun tak boleh tengok chat box tu.
It's okay. I will monitor the chat box for you.
Okay, thank you. So next we move into the warehouse profile for CJ Century. We have about 33 warehouses worldwide. We are almost at maximum capacity. I saw one question from the student talking about overstocking. Yes, it is an issue because shops are not open, so stocks are not moving. We have these issues throughout the year. I will answer the question on how we manage that later. So yeah, just to highlight that we are at almost at maximum capacity. We hold about 150,000 pallet positions. So 4.5, it's not 4.7, it's 4.5 million square feet, right? Some of the customer profiles that we have, we are the beverage people. We have FNN, Etika, and recently Poca added to our portfolio. FMCG business, we have Tupperware up there. We're also a key player in the E&E sector. One of our biggest customer in E&E is media, if you guys are familiar. They shoot out about 1,300 to 2,000 M3s a day out before the full lockdown. Currently, we're servicing their business only from the e-com sector, the Lazada and the Shopee. We are also the steel player in this. Is a very traditional business which our founder have developed. We're still servicing Micron Steel. Other customers are tire customers, glove, lubricants, and we also added retail to our portfolio. Shopee is through the parcel business. IKEA is through the haulage business, and Decathlon we're doing the end-to-end from NDC to local to store business. So that's pretty much what we have here on the customer profile. Any questions before we go to the more exciting part? Anybody? So before I turn on the Tupperware video, I have to advise to lower down your volume a bit. It might get a bit loud. Thanks, Husna. Right, everybody ready for the warehouse visit? Siap, Okay, everybody good? Cik Azam, Cik Afwan?
We are very excited. I see a
Very
lot of
excited.
thumbs up.
Sampai speechless.
Oh, sampai speechless. Thumbs up.
We can't wait any longer.
Okay. Let's take it easy, yeah. All right. So, welcome.
Feel your eyes, they are your body, don't be shy. Take control of me, get the vibe. It's gonna be lit tonight. No lie. Rock-a-bye, baby, rock-a-bye. I'm gonna rock you, rock-a-bye, baby, don't you cry. Somebody's got you, rock-a-bye, baby, rock-a-bye. Rock-a-bye. I've been shaking, I love it when you go crazy. You take all my inhibitions, baby, there's nothing holding me back. All that you want, boy, all that you can have, boy. It's ready to play. Wanna be baby. Rock you through the dark side of the morning. We're gonna rock you when the sun won't let you sleep. Despacito, quiero desnudarte a besos despacito. Como los perreros que escucha Marito, que salen tu cuerpo todo manuscrito. No lie, your iPhone camera flashing, pieced up like it's my style, you're cramping. You here for long, go no, I'm just passing. Do you wanna drink? Oh la la la. Passionate from miles away, passive with the things you say. Don't pick up the phone, you know he's only calling 'cause he's drunk and alone. Two, don't let me. I got no rules, I got no rules. I've been running through the jungle, I've been running with the wolves to get to you, to get to you, to get to you. Just a young gun with a quick view. I was uptight before the thunder, be the thunder. Gold jewelry shining so bright, strawberry champagne on ice. Lucky for you, that's what I like. Feel it coming, that's what I like. Feel it coming, lucky for you, that's what I like. Feel it coming, babe. So baby, let's just turn down the lights and close the door. And I know that
Okay. So that's a quick tour. How quick is that? Bad, right? Yeah. Any response? I have a longer video which we can explore once you guys start asking the questions. So far okay, Cik Azam?
So far good, sir. So far it's good. I think we have a lot of applause and love from the audience.
Yeah, okay. All right. Then I will, we'll talk about this further. So this is going to be a bit more interactive type of situation. I'm going to go explain the Tupperware business to everybody, but also to highlight that cari saya punya pointer. Key query areas, please focus your questions to contract management, inbound activities, outbound activities, inventory management. So I'm happy to answer all these questions later because these are all covered inside your syllabus. It's just that today for the presentation I'm making it much more simpler because we have a large audience, so that I don't want to go into details that you may or may not need. So just have in mind as I go through, put your questions into these slots of contract management, inbound, outbound, and inventory management. Then we'll tackle it on further detail. I also have a longer video which I can show later as we explain. Okay, everybody. Ada any more question? Cik Afwan, ada question baru-baru yang menarik?
So far none, but to the student, if you have any questions, can you please share with us right in the meeting chat so we can get the response from the team from CJ Century. To the participant, if you have any questions, feel free to write in the meeting chat so we can share with the rest of the team from CJ Century. Yeah. And then this from Chin Karin. He says CJ Child Jedan. Is this correct?
Yes. 10 points for you.
Congratulations.
Encik Azam lah kena bagi hadiah, saya tak sempat. Okay, let's move on with the presentation. First, introduction to the Tupperware business, and then the business profile that we are handling. The warehouse generally where we are at, what's the layout, and then more to the process flow, and then a little bit on the performance. Of course, these are much more, the one I'm presenting today is much more simplified version so that make it concise and more effective for the students to understand. No, as I mentioned earlier, Tupperware Malaysia is the second biggest growing market in South Asia for the Tupperware group. So the orders from October to now have grown to 2.5 times more. You used to receive about 13,000 orders a month in October, November. Now we're receiving up to 29,000, 30,000 orders a month. So yeah, imagine the scalability of that. I mean, we have a warehouse of a fixed size in 6 months ago. So now we have to actually cater double 2.5 times volume with the facility that we have. So it's a challenge in terms of operation strategy, space management, and also the customer management per se, right? So Tupperware has four major categories: plastics, cookware, health, and beauty. I think you're familiar. I cannot see if anybody can raise of hands that if their parents are Tupperware fans, but I'm sure there is a lot looking at the orders that we are getting and we need to fulfill. So plastics are mainly your containers, your plates and everything. Then you have your health, which is the essential oils. Then cookware is you consider that metal products, and beauty is cosmetics. Okay. The segments we serve is the B2B business, the stockists and distributors. We call them BC and Studio. These are the makcik-makcik Tupperware who have, and also the retail outlets that they have. And then we also serve a segment called business to consumer, B2C. This e-commerce we service throughout Malaysia, Peninsula and East Malaysia, as well as Singapore. We do direct e-com Singapore orders from this warehouse to Singapore consumers because Tupperware doesn't have any operating office in Singapore right now. So imagine they are big. They are also big in Singapore, but without having a fulfillment center there. So we are supporting Singapore, and I would say this model pretty much works. And it can also be a future model where you centralize your e-com fulfillment to one country to fulfill all the other countries in Asia because we are pretty much well connected. We also serve the international markets, which is the other Tupperware operating countries, for example, Indonesia, Philippines, India, even China per se. Reason being because we have Tupperware has a manufacturing facility in Malaysia, so they do and how they work is that they don't produce same SKUs in multiple countries. So one country like Malaysia will produce a certain type of product which will be distributed out around the world. So they have other plants around the world who also producing specific SKUs that need to be imported into Malaysia to service the market. So they're like interchanging their stocks, their production. They also cycle their molds around so that each plant will have an opportunity to produce a certain type of SKUs. So this is pretty much interesting model to me. All right. Yeah, just to explain, the BCO and Studio is the B2B. Tupperware Singapore is the B2C platform. E-com is the B2C platform. We have East Malaysia B2B. We deliver to their satellite warehouses in East Malaysia. We also do exports, like I mentioned just now, to countries like Indonesia, India, and Philippines. So, yeah. To Peninsula Malaysia, East Malaysia, and Singapore. This is weekly, everything out to these three areas on weekly basis. The rest will be on an ad hoc basis. So, CJ Tupperware DC9, we are located in Puchong, not red zone. I don't think we are in the red zone, but yeah, but we are in the midst of Subang Jaya and also I would say Putrajaya, somewhere there. More centralized compared to all other CJ warehouses in Klang Valley. We are having a footprint of 141,000 square feet. We hold about 11,444 pallet positions and storing 3,000 over SKUs and growing. And these SKUs come in multiple shapes and sizes. We have these the baby bottle nipples that size to the biggest of a water filter, if you guys are familiar. So imagine the storing strategy that we have to put in to operate this business. This is the layout of the warehouse. We have the entrance over here, and this is, I'm actually situated here at this very corner, if you can see. So we have a double dip zone. Double dip area is where you put two pallets of the same kind into one location, two different locations, but it's actually a safe, a storage saving strategy that we put in because we have to store common or campaign SKUs. So this is to maximize the storage, the footprint, having more pallets in one footprint. Then we also have the selective racking locations, which is the common racking that you guys see. We have aircon room and kitting area. Kitting activity is where we take multiple SKUs and group them up and put them into a gift box or a travel box. This is like a promo item or special arrangements. You know, you have like you buy one get one free, or you buy this set. Or those activities are being done inside our warehouse as value added. We also have this facility called the flow racks. These flow racks are for loose picking items. We have 228 locations, which is now have been upgraded to a DPS system, digital picking system, a pick to light system, which I will talk about a bit more further later. I have about 28 staff, including myself here, CJ. We have 80 workers. We have reduced about 40 workers since the past 6 months. We're gradually slowing down as we increase the productivity and also having facilities to help our operation move much more efficiently. I have 15 material handling equipments, 5 power pallet trucks, 5 reach trucks, and 5 forklifts. We operate 24 hours on a 2-shift basis. Currently, with EMCO, we are no longer operating 24 hours. We're only operating 12 hours. And we used to work 6 days in a week. But I guess given the situation now, I might have to change the strategy to open the warehouse for 7 days in a week, but not with the same workforce. We go on a rotation basis. A little bit on the process flow. Generally, everything starts from receiving from containers and trucks from the manufacturing facility. We do the receiving, checking, put away and storage. This is what you call an inbound process. And then once you put inside the storage, the items, the inventory will appear in the system, which allows order processing to pick all these items. So our process here is to once we run the order processing, we do replenishment. Replenishment means that we are refreshing the pick phase area. We don't pick from everywhere in the warehouse. We have determined certain areas for the pickers to pick from so that we have more inventory control. So replenishment is a process where we take all the items from the storage required for the order and put it into the pick phase for the picker to pick. So this is where the most people is at, the pick and pack activities, loose picking and full carton picking. And then we do the system scanning and also packing. Tupperware has a specific way of packing that they prefer. We need to put layers. We need to make sure that when we shake the box, there's not much rattling sound. And then once we've done all the pick and pack nicely, we put it in the staging area and then we dispatch. Dispatch in the sense that we don't load to the truck. Tupperware have their own transporters coming to the warehouse and they will do the loading. We just do the checking. And then once they loaded, then they sign off, then we're ready to go. Return business for Tupperware is not as big as previously because they have eliminated the consignment business. So right now, everything's on a purchase basis. Inbound process flow, generally as I mentioned, the origin from local manufacturer and international sources coming to the warehouse. We do the inbound inspection. We check the right SKU, right quantity. If you need to do case cutting, then yes, we do case cutting. Case cutting is where we cut the pallet height into a lower pallet height and adding pallets, adding those additional cartons to additional pallets to additional location. Then we do the GR. GR is good received into system. We key in. This information is interfaced with the customer system so that they have visibility on inventory, and that allows their order processors to run the orders. Okay. Then put away is a physical process of storing the items into the location, and also we do a put audit where after the put away is being done, we have a inventory team going to check, because inventory accuracy is very important in this warehouse and in other warehouse as well. So I think for all you students, inventory management is the most dreadful but the most useful area you need in operating a warehouse. So outbound process flow comes when order processing. These orders are interfaced from Tupperware system. They have multiple, I would say, platforms that process orders. Shopify is their online platform. They have GenCon, which processes the orders from the stores and studios. And then all these orders are being sent to us. So when we receive the orders, we will do an inventory check. System will do inventory check. Then it will call for replenishment. Replenishment, again, like I explained, is bringing the item down from storage area to the pick face area. Pick face area in our warehouse is located on the ground level, so that it's easier for the pickers to go walk and then pick the items and put it on the cartons. Alright, so once replenishment is done, we can generate the pick list. The pick list is a list of items that the picker have to pick. It's listed there is the item that he needs to pick and where to pick it. It's important for the operators to adhere to this pick list, because inventory accuracy purely depends on this. It cannot be that you're picking from another location although it's the same item. Okay, these are the I also recall one question from one student asking about the picking efficiency and human factor in picking effectiveness. So that is something that we can touch on later. So pick and pack activities is mainly two: picking cartons and loose items, and then we scan the items on system to make sure that it's correct item at correct quantity, and then we pack the items into the carton boxes, and then we do sorting for the outbound staging activity. So our outbound staging, we have the tally sheet to confirm how many cartons are going out to each destination, which the transporter need then to count and confirm. And then after that's being done, then we do the loading, and the truck can be dispatched out. So that's pretty much a full cycle of the in and out activity. We have also other key activities as in inventory management, cycle counting, pick face counting, put audit, push audit. And then we also have customer care. We are also managing the customer complaints from Tupperware, wrongly received items, order did not receive, asking for tracking number. We also provide that service to Tupperware. We also handle market returns. We also handle kitting. Like I mentioned, this is putting multiple SKUs into one gift box and also making multiple SKU into a new SKU. The warehouse management system that we are using is the N Solutions. This is actually the first N solution setup for CJ Malaysia. I'm happy to be the pioneers of this operating system. We also have other WMSs that we have implemented for other operations, but N Solutions will soon be standardized into all operations in CJ. Right. We have these functions in the WMS called IB stage, inbound staging, for us to check the item before we do the goods receive. We also have the put away confirmation. That means system can suggest the location to put the item at. And then we do the order processing. We do SI. All orders are processed by shipping instruction. That means instruction by store, by dispatch date. So we group the orders that way. And then replenishment is something not as still under development. Right now we're doing auto or manual replenishment. Auto replenishment is something that we are currently developing with the team. Picking, auto pick plan is a suggested location and item for the people to pick. This is something in the works. We will soon have full scanning picking for full carton and loose. GI inspection is a inspection station where the checker checks all the pick items. Is it correct by order, and do the packing. Then we have outbound scanning. When we want to before we load the items to the truck, we will do outbound scanning to check the total item versus the tally sheet. Okay, we also have the system is also designed to help kitting. How we manage kitting is we do internal GR and GI. This is something new that we just go live 2 days ago. It's a video. I just need to keep my pointer now. So far, okay, everybody? Oh, 25 minutes in. This, yeah, it has no sound, so yeah, just to show a little bit of the process of our loose picking, the new loose picking. Cartonization means the system calculates the carton sizes for each order, and then the inventory team then do a total picking. So yeah, a little bit of visualization of replenishment, taking everything from storage to stage it into the flow rack staging area. Then from there, we will replenish the stocks into the flow rack. So the system will then tell how many orders we are able to pick as and when we load the stocks into the flow rack. So print out the labels to the cartons, and then we will line up the cartons into the picking line. So the picker then just have to scan the carton number, and then the tablet PC will tell them which item to take. There's an indicator at each zone, at each location to tell you how many items to pick, which item to pick. So technically we are operating without a pick list. So the only reference that the people have is this tablet PC, and the scanning is to validate they are picking the right item or not. So after picking, this one goes into inspection. So this is where the operator then scan the carton and make sure that the total quantity for the carton is sufficient. Is accurate to the order. So this is outbound. Once you completed all the shipment, then they come up with tally sheet. Then you have to scan the carton to validate the total carton against the tally sheet number. Okay, so that's the whole DPS process. Next is the key data in 2021. Like I mentioned earlier, we started the business with 12,000 orders until last month. This is 2.5 times more. Total cartons are variable, but we've hit the highest of 100,000 cartons in 1 month in April. This shows the growth of the Tupperware business, which is still amusing to myself and trying to figure out what's happening to the market. And look into the e-com business. This is a 2-month snapshot. Even in April, we're hitting 1,000 orders a day. But once come May, with the FMCO, you can see spikes. And if I can drag this all the way to July, we hit the highest number of orders on the 1st of July, about 2,400 orders in a day. So this is actually 20 times more, no, not 20 times, sorry, 12 times more the planned capacity when we first started the business with Tupperware. Okay, so I'm coming to the end of this slide. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask before. I think, we don't want to spend so much time on career talk. If you guys have any questions, please, you can unmute and ask since I can't see the screen, or you want me to see the screen. Cik Afwan, ada apa-apa?
Afwan, we cannot hear you.
Jauh.
Hello.
Hmm.
Hello, can you?
You sound very far, my friend.
Afwan,
How
we can't
about-
hear you.
Very nice. Where's the chat box?
Hello.
Okay, there's a Dosh, there's a question from Victor Josh Emmanuel Biens. The question here is that he asks is how often does human error occurs?
Oh,
How often does human error occurs?
human error occurs every day because as much as we introduce SOPs, we give do and don'ts, and we give ownership to the leaders. This happens because mainly because of fatigue, number one. Number two, education and also awareness lah. That's the thing that we have to work on every day. Common mistakes is actually for the pickers, they pick by familiarization. The pick list says to go to location A to pick item A, but the person is familiar with item A, so he go find item A some in another location, not based on the pick list. So that is common mistake that happen. Number one, short picks is also a common error, where when we have to pick five of the same item at the same time. So instead of scanning 5 items individually, the person only scan one item 5 times and then just dump in the total the bundle into it. So sometimes he gets it correct, 5 items. Sometimes he gets it wrong. Maybe he just dump in 4 items but scanning 5. So that way we cannot detect, because system will tell us that we have scanned 5, but physically we are short of 1. So these are areas that I give full ownership and authority to my floor leaders to monitor. I mean, these are patterns. You can see patterns, and for us the challenge is how to make a program or somehow do a behavioral correction to these operators. Sometimes we also have this misconduct form. So create awareness for these people. So whenever they make a mistake, they have to sign for a misconduct form. So 3 hits and then they are actually off the warehouse. So that they be more aware and they take more ownership in their activity. Because for them, they don't feel if anything goes wrong, they don't feel. For me, the complaints come back to me and I have to investigate. And Tupperware customers are very eager customers, so they want everything to be turned around fast. So yeah, we also have cases that the consumers have gone to the bureau to complain. So this is something that we want to avoid. So yeah, so it's still a work in progress. I wouldn't say any warehouse have this perfect model, unless you look into the full pallet in, full pallet out operation. That is a much more simpler operation to monitor. But we have loose picking, which is very, very delicate. Every piece is accounted for. So we have multiple sizes of items. So careful and ownership of the activity is very, very important here. And I have about 120 people here, so it's I can't monitor every single one of them. So we need to create programs and SOPs that is much more effective to make sure that this doesn't happen. But with the DPS system, there's a lot of validation happen throughout the activity. So we hope to bring this down, and we hope to share this detail later, when we have another opportunity to share. So yeah, we're at 11 o'clock, so we have 1 hour to chit chat. More question, please.
Yes, Dos. Another question from Karin. How are the spread in terms of percentage for the 5 business model in Malaysia?
Interesting. I would say the core revenue stream for Tupperware is still from the traditional business, which is the BC and studio. These are the retails and the resellers and distributors, because Tupperware has been in Malaysia for donkey years, more than 50 years. So that is their core, makes about 40%. Then they have the e-com, which is on the rise. Like I said, they've grown up to 1,200%, from 200 orders a day to 2,400. So we can see that the emergence of e-com for Tupperware, for something like this, because like the past 10 years has always been about the shoebox e-com. That means everything is in a smaller box. So Tupperware business, you can see the cartons are much more bigger, and for this pretty much like a new territory for Tupperware. And they're only selling through one platform only. They're not selling through Shopee or Lazada. They're only selling from Tupperware.com.my. Yeah, but because of their nature of this is like technically an MLM business, they are able to drive the market. So every month they have about 2 campaigns. Every 14 days there's campaigns. Then they also take opportunity of this pandemic. Last month when FMCO starts, they offer a free delivery. Then you can start seeing the spike in consumer buying. I think if EMCO, they have this new July campaign to release older stocks at cheap. They also have this purchase with purchase campaign. You buy something of a certain value, then you buy the next item at 30 ringgit. So this we can see from the trend of the order lines that we receive. Used to be about 1 order, 5 order lines. So now we can see 1 order, 5 up to 9 order lines. So actually their Tupperware marketing team is creating a lot of appetite for the consumers to take on. It's pretty much dynamic to our end because we are 3PL. We are not in control of this, but the most we can do is anticipate. And to anticipate this, communication with the customer weekly and I would say every few days is necessary. So that's why I highlighted the point of contract management in the earlier slide, so that you guys know that 3PL is not a one-way street, it's a two-way street. You have to work with your customers, understand your consumers, understand your market, so that you can create solutions and drive all this you know, satisfaction and performance to the business. Right.
Okay. We have a lot of questions, Dosh. We have a lot of questions. Another one from Fang Zing. What are the factors that affect the efficacy of warehouse operation during the COVID-19 pandemics?
Strong English word. Let me try to Google that. What does that actually mean?
Okay, they're looking at efficacies.
Efficacy is the ability to produce a desired or intended outcome.
Cool. Okay, cool. All right. It's been a challenging year. I would say last year was shocking. The first MCO, we thought that we can have a bit of holiday, people not moving, but actually people like we have customer like Ogawa who suddenly jump over on the e-com because of the MCO, then additional business for us. But we are also stretched by the limitations that the government give us. So let me just zoom down to the current FMCO, EMCO situation. The MOT have given us the license to operate. During FMCO is 24 hours, but at 60% capacity. That means that if I have an attendee of 200 people a day in the warehouse, I can operate with 120 people a day. So we have also been visited by the police the few days of FMCO. No scare, because they are there they have their KPIs to maintain. They have to maintain so that the area is not red zone. So that's our challenge. Number one is working with limited resources. Our challenge number two is the business trend is changing like crazy throughout MCO. You can see from retail market to e-commerce market, it's like a total switch nowadays. Consumer behavior is totally different now. They have more trust to the screen and clicks rather than physically feeling and smelling the item. It's also very market driven now. You can see direct impact. You can see that 777 campaign is coming, so you can see you yourself will be spending more during that time. So these are the challenges that we have to go through during the pandemic. That's one. Number two, if you want to zoom in further into infections, positive cases, yes, this warehouse so far, alhamdulillah, no direct positive cases. We have cases of the worker has been out for 2 days, then only detected positive. So we just group up the close contacts and send them for checking. In other sites, yes, we do have sites that close for sanitization because of positive case. In our Etika warehouse in Bangi, we have 25, 30, 60 cases at one time. That forces us to if I can share this is very interesting. Etika holds about 19,000 pallet position. This is the only main DC that they have. So when you have this much of people infected with positive, we have to activate one warehouse in Port Klang to support this operation. So imagine we turn around the whole warehouse over the weekend. That means we have to migrate out from Bangi, go to another site, and then operate from that as we go. So that's I don't have that first-hand experience in that, but looking at how my friends are handling that, it was a bit it's pretty crazy, and I think congrats to them for being able to turn around. So after 1 month we go back to Bangi, and so far alhamdulillah everything is okay. So that's one of the contingencies that we have. I think we talk about COVID, also the overstocking is also something that is a challenge to us. We're running out of locations, we're running out of space to store items because of the input versus output is not balanced. Hopefully the market opens in August so that we can start pushing all this thing out. We have containers still stuck at the warehouse unstuffed. So yeah, pretty much that's it. So I've covered infection, I've covered overstock, I've also covered the restrictions that the government have put us in. So yeah. So again, I think like when talk about policy, you have to understand also that we are essential service. We are allowed to operate, but it's subject to our customer. If our customer doesn't have the MITI operating license, they don't have the allowance to move, we also cannot operate their business. So this is a very dicey situation. Thank God this thing happened. I mean, we have this call today because yesterday during EMCO, there's more industries that's being cut out from allowed to operate. So yesterday was a bit of a hoo-ha where customers are calling like, hey, can I still send my stuff? Can I still do this? Can I still do that? You know, managing that every time the government does an announcement is also taking a toll to everyone in CJ. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much there. Any more questions? We have a lot of time. Anyone want to ask a HR question? We can let you know.
We have a lot of questions here, Dosh.
We do have HR question, Dosh. Don't worry. What logistics student will do after graduate in CJ Century? How many position there?
How many position?
Yeah, this Wong Moon Yui. Yes.
This come from
That's a pretty question.
Iting, do you want to cover that? What's our opening? Because you know, I am on a freeze, so I can't hire people. But HR, maybe Iting can enlighten us on the talent pool that we want.
Dosh, if possible, can you switch on your video, Dosh?
Video? Ada orang minta video.
Your camera, yeah.
Boleh. Hi. I have the world map behind here.
Same with me. Logistic kena ada world map.
Yes, you have to know where everything. But
you have to know where the country is, where the location is.
That's very true.
Okay, who should answer this?
Okay, so I shall answer this. Hi, I'm Eating from HR.
Hi, Eating. Well, possible to switch on your camera as well?
Okay, one moment, yeah.
Okay.
Ikat rambut dulu, Eating.
Ya, saya bersopan dulu ya.
Kena sopan.
Okay, for the question of what do logistics students do after graduate in CJ Century? Okay, it depends on when you graduate, what are the vacancies that we have at that time, and also how many positions are there. Okay, currently we have 9 vacancies from clerk to exec. So you can view our vacancies at our website. Later on, I will share the URL at the chat box. So maybe perhaps at the time of your graduate, you can have a look and see what are the positions available.
What's our our hiring trend nowadays? Are we on high demand of talent pool, or we're now on a slowdown?
Actually, now is kind of slow down due to this pandemic situation here. So yeah, only certain urgent vacancies that we look into it now currently.
Yeah, and I think for students, if I can add, if you're they may not be opportunities to the companies direct, but we engage vendors for workers. You see, and then like the government is moving towards local local workers. So if you need something really quick, just for experience purposes, you can engage manpower suppliers. They can get you working inside a warehouse or anywhere in the mainly warehouse lah, for on a day pay. So you can I think that's pretty much the quickest turnaround that you guys can possibly have, because I also have graduating students here who just finish studying, and then they go to manpower supply company, and then they're here. They can work on and off because they are on a day pay package. So yeah, I think you guys can technically explore into that kind of area lah, if it's something that you need urgently. Because if you're waiting for a hiring campaign from companies, may or may not be as quick, and there's a lot of talent pools that's going throughout that channel. But I'm just giving an option that you can have a quick turnaround when you start going exploring manpower supply companies.
Okay, Dosh, just to add, just to share with you all, in fact, on the 29th, CJ Century, we were invited by MIDA and for an industry career talk, okay? And it's also sponsored by Perkeso. We had openings. We had about 50 plus to 80 people being interviewed on that day itself. Just to share, the openings are basically in the solutions design, senior executive for forwarding, executives for IT, freight forwarding, CJ on our technology side or our assembly side, supervisors, coordinators, technicians, and admin staff. So yeah, a lot of the people that we interviewed were fresh graduates actually, from various backgrounds and from various fields. So yep, just to share with you again, yes, we do have openings, and on top of that, we do also have the upcoming management trainee program that will be that is being planned for the coming years. Okay, so once you guys are done with school, I mean, yeah, come by and do check it out and get in contact with our HR. Okay.
More questions?
All right, Dosh, we have another question from Tan Kah Sing.
Soalan cepu mas.
Yeah. Do you think by applying automation such as machine in the picking processes will reduce errors and increase in fulfillment efficiency?
I like this question. Memang betul saya sebut. Okay. Automation is, in simple words, helps with scanning. With scanning and with also the conveyors, helps with speed and accuracy definitely. But experiencing this DPS implementation myself, involving myself in the development stage, there's a lot of details we need to look into, because technically we're putting our brains into the system and getting them to think like how we think and how we want it to work. So to answer your question on automation, yes, but the logic have to be correct. You have to understand the product nature itself, understand the complications that can happen, understand the customer requirements, that's 3. And then we have to map it to the point that when we scan the item, it's correct to the order that it wants. We also have to develop an operation strategy so that the picker doesn't do any mistake, because with automation itself, with scanning and all this validation in practice by the system, we also noticed human error can still occur. For example, in the DPS line that you guys have seen, we have multiple cartons lined up. The person scanned carton A, pick item that required for item A, but for carton A, but he mistakenly put it into carton B. So that one I cannot see, because when the operator scans carton A, the system recognizes carton A, and then when he scans the SKU required, the system will then allocate these stocks to carton A. But if he physically puts the item into another carton, system will not be able to catch this. So like I said, automation is one thing, operation strategy also is another thing, and of course designing of the automation is very, very crucial. So I hope that answers your question. If you ask me about more mistakes that can happen, yes, a lot. Short picks are common, like now I explained. Pick 5 items, but scan one item 5 times, and then when they put the bundle in, they miss out 1 or 2 pieces, so that will result to short picking. Even over picking also, if they don't physically count the item, they can also overpick and put inside the carton. So yeah, that's 3 common areas I can see from the 2 days of implementation of the DPS system lah. And also we have another risk, which is this is system based. So if the logic is not right, the information is not correct, runs on the system, then the whole thing can go wrong. For example, if we put item A into a location A, but instead system recognizes as item B, the picker will never get to item A because the system does not recognize item A is required for their order. So like I said, the logic of the system is crucial to run this automation.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay, can we have another question, Dosh?
Boleh.
This is
Banyak, 40 minutes to go. We have a lot.
this is from Chan Wei Juan. How hard is it when the warehouse adopt the digitalized method for operation at first, and what are the situation to solve problem during changing labor to the IoT period?
Oh, yeah, are we talking about the adoption of technology and also how these people adapt?
Yes, yes.
Okay. To be honest, it's a long process. Before we start this DPS program, the whole development started in February already. That's system side. Training side on site, familiarizing the order processes, familiarizing the pickers, familiarizing the floor leaders to this new process. It's been a month since we started. We started in June. So we also do, what's critical in all this implementation is the UAT, user acceptance test. Okay, so when the user acceptance test is where the user themselves have to experience the system. So we cannot go live until the user accepts the system. Right, so this is the longest process and the most critical process that we have to go through before we go live with any system. It's a lot. I learned a lot from experience that we did not do detailed UAT, which result in when we go live, a lot of mistakes happen. Then we had to do a lot of recovery. So you guys familiar with the thing called get the first thing right first time, right? So this is like, as much as I like to just ignore that, but I think in my field and in logistics industry, this is the most critical thing that you have to look into. Get the things right the first time, so that when you go live, if anything happens, it will be just a minor hiccup. It will not be a major hiccup. And if I can be really honest, we started Tupperware. Why I'm positioned in Tupperware? Because we were not ready 100%. This business was handled by another person, but the whole development was not done to the point that it's fully handed over. So we actually started the business here with a half-cooked system. So I had to come in to stabilize the situation. So it's a very painful 6 months until till today. But Alhamdulillah, everything is okay. So learning from this, I tell everybody, and for you students as well, please, the implementation plan, the implementation program, the testing, everything, test it to the max. In project management, they also have this thing called plan to fail program. You have to plan everything to fail first. Then only you are confident that you can go ahead with the program, with the plan. Right? Yeah, we have an assessment that try to fail the system as much as we can.
Yeah. That means we predict what's to fail. And then we
Yes.
do correction, right? We predict what to fail, then we can do corrections.
Predicting worst case scenario lah.
Correct. Because when you come to testing, we always based on perfect world scenario, because there are scenarios that we are very familiar with and we favor because we want to pass the test quickly. But when it comes to this type of automation systems that we are rolling out, we have to consider the worst of the worst because these are new to us. We don't have super expert here. They are all supported from Singapore and Korea. Thankfully, they are on WhatsApp. They're not like China. I tak boleh WhatsApp. So response has been good, support has been good. But again, you cannot afford to have a failed system even for 1 hour. Even in this operation, if I have a power outage for 5 hours, it will impact me the whole day. Tomorrow pun tak boleh kerja. So yeah, acceptance test, implementation plan, program detailed, very, very important.
Okay. Thanks, Dosh. Afwan, any question we have?
Yeah, we have a lot of questions. Right, but this is very interesting.
The 100 question line.
Yeah, this is very good question actually. From Shu Si Jun. How did CJ adjust the manpower between pick team and put team when there is too many backlog on both sides?
Yes, good question. Number one, to answer the question is understand your capacity. Capacity you get from productivity and resource. So you know how much pallet you're producing per day to put away, and then you know how much output you can do with the X amount of people. So we do balancing here. That means when we have high outbound, we will call for less inbound. That means instead of receiving 6 trucks a day, we tell the manufacturer, you send us 3 trucks today so that I can work my people for half a day, and then after half a day I will transfer all these people to the outbound. We also have this training program internally that we exchange these people from section to section so that they're familiar with all the sections available, because understanding the business nature of Tupperware, the orders you can see from the graph is not stable. When there's no such thing as a good day, it's always been a high and low day. So this needs us to be able to react. I also train my admin staff here to do picking if necessary. Let's say on the weekend, let's say we run 7 days, or some people need to take off. I need to give people to take off, right? So floor leaders have to take off, then I bring admin team to support the floor for Sunday. So we try to be as dynamic as we can. And if I can also mention, we have the most system users here in this warehouse. So usually our structure is inventory team manages the system, but in here I have about 20 users of the system. So every CJ staff here understands the system and knows how to operate the system. So this is crucial because we can do the overlap and buddy system. Of course, on top of that is the you see in Malay language we call it budi pekerti, and that means I have to motivate these people, get them to leave their family on the weekends to work or do extra hours. Of course, compensation is also in there. People have to feel that it's worth their time spent to work. Although at my point of view is I have to balance the customer requirements, which is the output, versus my capacity and my resource. So yeah, again, keyword is capacity. Understanding capacity allows you to have the flexibility, number one. Number two, training for the workers to be multi-activity, or they're familiar with multiple activities. That's necessary so that we can swap people. Again, floor leaders are important also to train these people. So I hope that answers your question in terms of flexibility in managing resources.
All right, thank you, Dosh.
Yep.
Another question from Chan Wei Juan.
Mhm.
How hard it is when the warehouse adopt the digitalized method for operation at first? And what are solutions to solve problem during changing level to IoT period?
Okay, I answer the second part of the question first. Choosing labor throughout. Of course, if I am the worker here, I will feel threatened when you have this type of automation installed. You will feel that their job is being taken away. But what we are doing right now, we allow everybody to participate in this. There's no one single team that's an expert in operating the DPS. We get everybody to try. We have super users and we have the not so super users, but we engage them to try and experience before we start cutting down the manpower. If you need to know, the DPS system will somehow help me to cut further 20 headcounts in this operation. So we're looking at operating the warehouse with 60 people in the future. But of course, currently the DPS system is still new. I still have to have another team that's running on manual or the current process while DPS is stabilizing. So that's one question. To answer question number two, question number one is more of how hard it is to adopt. Like I mentioned just now, the implementation program have to be there. Number one, you need a very good project manager to manage your expectation, because we are talking, in my experience here, I have Korean team here. Korean teams are not the best English speakers, and my local team are mainly Malay people. So we're not the best English speakers as well. So we're like talking cats and dogs over here, and the Koreans here are here on a mission. So every day they have a mission, they have to fulfill, they have to report. So there's pressure from them to get our team on the program. So I have to bridge that situation of everyday planning. Okay, team, local team, what you need to do for international team. International team, what you need to provide for local team. So right now, I think the synergy is there. It's just that sometimes we have friction due to pressure, timeline, deadline, because these Koreans are on, they're on a deadline and they have to fly back middle of July. So they want to have the most runs possible on the system so that they can tackle all the issues necessary. And even for myself also, I want them to run as much as possible so that after they go home, we are only left with the minor issues, not the major issues. You know, imagine if they go home and then the whole thing just crumble down the next day. I can't do anything. I can only say sorry to the customer that these are not running and I go to a backup plan. To top up that, yes, backup plan is necessary. With technology automation, you think that, you know, with the plug of a button, with the press of a button, everything run smoothly? No way. You don't expect that. You expect everything to fail. Once you press the start button, just start looking out for gaps. So please do not put too much reliability on automation when it starts. But once you start tweaking it, once it starts become more efficient, more logical to the operation, then yes, the reliability is there. We are moving to a system-driven operation. Still a challenge for us to have that to go 100%, but you know, that's the way to go. And for you students, yes, understanding system, understanding logic. One keyword is entity relationship diagram. This is what you learn in database. Very important, understand that, because that is the key to logistic solutions. Number two, Microsoft Excel skill. That is very, very important as well. Analytical skill is necessary in this business because we want to look into accuracy. We're not just looking at, oh, I'm shooting out 1,000 cartons a day. I need to shoot out 1,000 correct carton to the correct place every damn day. So that is very important, everybody. Okay, half an hour to go.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
this is one from our colleague, our logistic lecturers, Puan Nurul Faraiza. The question said, understand CJ is halal certified by JAKIM. Could you show us the location or pictures of the warehouse area, if any, and how is the process taking place?
Gambar saya tak ada lah sekarang, tapi saya boleh bagi lah nanti. Kita ada satu warehouse, for example lah, U10 punya warehouse. Benda ni dekat dengan, it's near to UiTM Puncak Alam. This is facility where we store FNN products and also Dabi oil products. This is a halal certified warehouse. For everybody's information, halal certification is dedicated to a single facility. That means we have to register more facilities as we go. It doesn't mean that CJ Century is halal certified as a company, then we have all the warehouses halal certified. It has to be location determined. So the process is generally clean as it comes in, clean as it goes. We also have the Sertu, which is sama if anything is foreign objects found. So we also have the quarantine area for suspected items. But of course, with location certified halal, there's no non-halal item can be in there. How JAKIM is managing this are by doing surprise audits. They can just show up anytime and then do audit. So we have to maintain this SOP throughout. In our company, we have a QM department led by the lady named Rose. She is our internal enforcer for this. So every day she moves around from warehouse to warehouse, making sure the operations are complying to the JAKIM SOP. So I think that's generally how we are managing the halal certified warehouse.
Okay.
Yeah, but if I want to expand this further, look into halal transportation. How can we control halal transportation? Containerization. You can control what goes inside the container, right? Yeah. So in principle, halal we look into just clean, because like for container, you don't know what's inside the container before, and then before you load your item. So the most we can do is just keep the containers clean and dry before we load the halal product in.
Okay. Thanks, Josh. One more from one of our logistics student here. Since the technology advancement in the 21st century, what is the reason the employees are unable to adapt with innovation, and what to do to overcome the situation? This is from Yif King Yi. She want to know about the reason for employee unable to adapt with innovation and how to overcome the situation.
Good question. I think if I can just slide a bit on this thing is, I think important is in the system development. Number one, we understand, I think everybody's familiar with SAP system, right? Accounting system. It's a pretty much on the shelf type of system, but adaptability depends on its customization features. So in any system development, you must consider the usability. So if you don't consider usability, then you have adaptability issues. That means people are rejecting the interface, people are rejecting how to operate the system, because we are, I mean, most of the people who work, they are process driven. They have been installed with a certain type of logic on how things are being done. So if the system is not being customized to this logic for a certain company, then you will find resistance. Number one, you will also find that users are not being able to adapt, and mistakes do happen. So that's the risk in system development. So I think generally consider system is robot, but robot is made by humans. So consider the human to work with the robot as well. So that's two worlds that we have to merge together. It's also a constant challenge in adopting technology. I hope that answers the question. In our side, I think adaptability to technology is managed by, number one, training. Number two, we somehow highlight the incoming of this type of systems early in the pipeline. That means earlier in the year, we'll tell the people, okay, we are implementing a new freight management system. It will take 6 months. So exposures are being done. And then also during that point, it's also not a one-way situation. It's a two-way situation. The developer will come and try to understand what the user wants. The user then will have to understand what the system wants. So when we come to the go live, everything is pretty much in sync. But it will not be a perfect scenario. But still, at least we're halfway there. There are always challenges in terms of adopting technology in any company. Yeah. And every company is unique, every system is unique, I would say. That's how I see it. Yeah.
Okay, one more
Only
question.
please.
This is from our guest.
Ubarani.
The question is, do CJ apply green warehouse?
Green warehouse, good question. Our Bukit Raja facility is somehow used to, we plan to set it to be certified green building, but I think somehow, I'm not sure about the compliance issue there. Anybody can comment, but we somehow designed the warehouse to be as green as possible, not using much natural sunlight, not using too much electricity. If we can need to use lighting, we use LED lighting. And then for the material handling equipments, instead of using diesel and gas powered forklifts, we are changing everything to electric forklift. So yeah, pretty much what we do, instead of I would say adding more green features, is more to the managing consumption, because logistic industry, you cannot run away from not being green. The moment the truck starts, it's all emission.
Yes.
Yeah, you cannot run away. To move item, you need to produce emissions. So you cannot go green plus, green negative, but the most you can do is move towards a zero green situation. Yeah.
Initiative
So yes,
for protecting the environment.
yes. So like simple initiatives lah. Like lunchtime, turn off the lights. When it's not necessary to turn on the lights, we don't do. Water conservation is one. Lighting. We design our warehouse with this polycarbonate covers and roofing, so that we allow natural light to come in. We also try not to run operations more than 24 hours most of the time. We try to be as efficient as possible in terms of our operating times. And then awareness of the people in terms of the consumption of energy. Also, I think one more thing that related to environment is trash and
Reduce
rubbish.
paper.
Yeah, paper is one. Okay, now we go with DPS. We are actually cutting down a lot of paper printing. No more pick lists being printed. Everything's digitized. So that is, I'm going to see a lot of savings in that, number one. But I still cannot avoid from packaging items. Those are, they create wastage. Because once you receive your item, you're just going to throw the box. So imagine if I shoot out 5,000 boxes a day, someone else who received the 5,000 boxes everywhere around Malaysia will throw those boxes out. So I'm actually contributing, by 1 week, I'm contributing 35,000 boxes onto the landfill. So something that I cannot avoid, because that is the SOP that we need to follow. That's something that we need to look into. there are companies that's more aware. Instead of using paper boxes, they want to go for recycle boxes, or they just simply go by bubble wraps, or they make their product packaging strong enough that it can be delivered inside a courier flyer. Just wrap it with the plastic CJ punya flyer and then put your waybill and then jalan. So that we are looking into those kind of things. Customers are also more aware of this situation. It's just that some customers, they have these standards that they have to follow. So pallet utilization, packaging item utilization, that's very high. And through this also, we produce a lot of this shrink wrap
Shrink
wastage.
wrap, yes, shrink wrap wastage.
So a lot. I mean, it can be a nightmare lah. One week, one big lorry tong worth of this plastic. Yeah.
Did you sell it?
Yes, we sell it for a decent amount of money.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course. Yeah, warehouse all sell it.
May add that we do track as part of our sustainability program. We do track our packaging materials and industrial waste. I think based on 2019, it's about 12 over 12 over tons. Okay. And then we also track in terms of our used engine oil for our trucks. You know, I think we use about 24,000 liters. And also we do also track our carbon emissions.
So Cik Wan, CJ is really taking care of the issue of environmental protection, eh?
Yes. Especially we started tracking this in the last 3 years. I mean, we have a proper format of reporting of these 3 things that I just mentioned just now. Packaging, materials and industrial waste, that's one. Number 2, used engine oil, and the third one will be carbon emission.
Okay, that's good to hear, Cik Wan. That's good to hear.
Yeah, thank you.
So that one, safety of the environment. How about safety and health of employees?
Good question. We have our QM department also have this, and HR also work together on the well-being of the workers. I would say there are customers that impose a 60-hour week policy on us. We like to follow that as well, so that everybody is well rested. But there are certain situations yang kita akan, they will go a bit overboard. We also try to control cost by managing the overtimes. So 60-hour weeks are, a bit helpful. I mean, those policies are something that if not set in stone in CJ, but it's been enforced by our customer to us. So those are the initiative in terms of the working hours. Number 1, well-being is safety. We have safety audits every month. We have WPI. So my warehouse right now is rated at 73% compliance. That is not the high, not the worst, but not the best. But it's a lot of room to improve. Basic things, like exit signs, toilet facilities, surau facilities, even vending machine for drinks. If we cannot provide drinks for the workers, they will complain, and that's well-being also. So we hired vending machines here. We also call uncle on motorcycle to come sell items during lunch. We also look into having a more adaptive break time. Instead of one lunch time, we have 15-minute breaks to accommodate. Because you see, like when a high intensity operation like Tupperware here, people need breaks more. I noticed that if you have one break in a day, the productivity is lesser than having 3 breaks in a day, because they are refreshed. 15-minute break, if they smoke, they smoke their cigarette. If they need to call their girlfriend or boyfriend, they have a good 10-minute chat. After that, they come back, more and higher motivation to move. And also we set smaller targets for them. Like if you have only one break in a day, they just look forward to 12:30. So if we have a 10:30 break, 12:30 break, and 4:30 break, they look forward to, I need to clear this job by 10:30 so that I can take a break. And then the next milestone is 12:30, the next milestone is 4:30, and the next milestone is 6:30. So yeah, I think having more breaks can also help in productivity. Other than that, safety, of course, the strict adherence to the PPE lah. You must have your safety shoes, your safety vest. That is must. Also, no headphones inside the warehouse because these forklifts are all moving around. For extra safety here, my reach trucks here are on beepers all the time. Whenever you drive it, it makes noise, so that people are aware. Because I have 120 people, I cannot, nobody can look out for 120 people operation, each one of them. So all the MHE here are making noises when they move. So that's important. And we also implemented a policy of lights on every time. So all the moving equipments here must have lights all the time, so that it's visible for the workers. Yeah. Lighting also is important lah inside the warehouse. I still have areas that's a bit dark and also risky for the operators. Yeah. But it's work in progress, and it's something that we have in our forefront lah, because the government not gonna take it, not gonna let it easy on us if we have this, reported cases, and we have to report all this.
Okay, Dosh.
Any changes during this pandemic season in terms of rate?
Rate? Oh, business rates.
Because pandemic nowadays, right? Definitely is operation been interrupted. Perhaps management tried to cover some of the costs by imposing a bit increasing in the rates itself, for example.
Yeah. We have situations where we renegotiate contracts, not just because of pandemic, because of to be more efficient in our P&L management. So a pandemic is one of the main reasons as well. Like for example, we look into the electrical, the media business per se. If all the shops are closed, there's no outbound. So we are actually billing them by the total outbound that we do a day. So when there's no outbound, that means there's no business for us, but we still have to maintain the cost of the manpower and also the storage area. So when it comes to this situation, we have to go back to the customer and tell them, like, hey, I need to find other avenues to cover my costs. So I think the past few years also, the transparency between the cost management, also rate management between us and the customer has been a bit more, I would say, it's not a taboo lah. I would say more on open negotiation basis lah. Although we are tied to a contract, but we also put conditions of escalation. So that means if anything happens throughout the contract, fuel prices go up, government policy change, we have this escalation clause that allows us to open negotiation to discuss about rates and this and that. Implementation of this, yes, we have implemented this on certain customers. Change charging mechanism, everything, yes. Because as much as we are a service provider, we are also in business. We need to sustain. So P&L is one of our forefront that we need to look after. So to answer your question, yes. Never be shy to negotiate rate because you are providing a service.
Agreed.
Definitely. We are service provider. We also have something to be paid, right?
That's one, and I think because of service provider, the nature of how we handle the business is much more dynamic. You are not producing a product. A product is a product. An iPhone is an iPhone. But as a service provider, we are actually iPhone plus. The customer can somehow halfway ask us, hey, can you do B? Can you do C? Can you do D? So these are the things that we have to account for. Number one, if we can do it within our cost, yes. If we can't do it within our cost, we have to increase our rate.
Yes, value-added service. All right, and okay, this is one interesting question for human resource and also for operation. For logistics student, as more and more logistics become automated, do they really need to worry about how many jobs opportunities will there be in the next 3 to 4 years?
Okay, I think I answered this last year. But yes, I'm happy to answer this again. Like I said, I think in a few times before this, when we talk about automation, we talk about the development part. So instead of you thinking of working in the warehouse, handling the product itself, now position yourself in a warehouse, but handling the system, handling the development of the system. You're actually positioning yourself further up in the supply chain. You're actually thinking on behalf of the operators. You're actually thinking on behalf of the robots. So those are the opportunities that are there in the logistics industry. So don't really worry about that, automation will take over and then, no humans need to work. Of course, physically, you won't see people working, moving the items, but you have a lot of brains actually tied to that automation system that needs to be maintained, change logic over time, because there's no one single solution for one single customer. There's always, it's ever changing. You know, I've been in the business for a while, and no one customer is the same. And even if you tie with the same customer, no one period is the same. Next month they can change. Next few months they can change. So it's a very dynamic nature. So look at it on a much more wider perspective rather than working in the warehouse, but thinking about how you can make the warehouse work. Yeah.
We need planners, right? Planners that can think, can manage,
Yes.
can
Because
coordinate with the system as well.
yeah, it'd be a perfect world if we can work, if we can be in a logistics area that's everything is pre-plan, right? But of course, you know, we are right now on a very reactive manner that, you know, when there's a demand, then we react. But, you know, if we can have a predictive, you know, logic, we can
So
somehow, you know,
act
predict
in
what's going to
more
happen.
proactive manner lah.
Yeah. And I think companies in Singapore like YCH, they have somehow invested in this like predictive predictive system. You know, they have like an AI thinking
AI.
about, yeah, thinking, planning for operation. Just put in some criteria, it will tell you like, okay, how you should design your operation.
Yeah, because each customer have their own preference. We need to customize each customer as well.
Yeah, imagine the amount of logic we have to put into.
Sometimes there are customers who have special requests for this kind of shipment only.
Yeah, betul. Very true.
And during that time, if we don't have enough facility, we cannot execute that. And then customer tiao you back. Oh my god.
Yeah, I think utmost important is actually the bridge between the customer and the operation. Understanding your customer business means allowing you to have a very good operation strategy to fulfill the business, because we are at the mercy of the customer. The customer cannot sell, they cannot pay us. You see, so we always look at the perspective of the customer and us working together, rather than, you know, they are our customer, we are just, you know, begging for money from them. So that's the mindset that every student will have, need to have when they go into the market. You know, don't logistic industry, as I would say, is it's considered, you know, challenging, but, you know, if you look at it from a lighter side of things, it's very interesting. You know, like sometimes when I sleep, I still dream about Microsoft Excel sheet, you know, numbers moving here and there, but, you know, I enjoy that. So, you know, it's interesting lah, I would say.
Sleep thinking about how to pivot things, right?
Yeah.
That's normal. That's normal, Dosh.
Yeah.
That's normal in logistics. We dream about our works.
Betul. Yeah. So don't take it as a dreaded task. Enjoy it. You know, for students, because, you know lah, commonly when student goes into the market, they will try to separate their, you know, their work life and their private life and then other things. Yes, you can separate that, but the mind doesn't stop working. So if you have an openness about adopting how, and logistics is very related to everyday life. You know, where you want to buy your food, how much you want to carry in your wallet, those are all logistics. If you go to McDonald's, like which McDonald's you want to go? You want to go to the closest McDonald's or the furthest McDonald's? Consider also the queue at the closest McDonald's and the queue at the furthest McDonald's. And then how much money you need to carry? Ada ATM tak in between those McDonald's? You know, all those consideration, those are all logistic thinking. So if you adopt, you know, all these, you know, basic logics into your everyday life, you know, living logistic industry is, you know, pretty much a breeze. It's just, you know, making life work easier. And it's a constant process. It never stops.
Yeah. Correct. Yeah. That's why I remembered one of my Sifu when I start working back then. He said, logic is everything. You have to make sure that it's logic and non-static anymore. That's logistic.
Yes. True. Nothing is static. So best to share this experience with the students, because like we have a lot of people who get frustrated through this. They thought, you know, it's a fixed process. You know, they thought that it's an everyday thing to do, but not understanding that, yeah, the situation is very dynamic, that you need
it's
to.
Definitely not this industry. It's definitely not this industry. And sometimes we do have a very peaceful time, but temporary lah. And then the work start coming, and then we don't even have time to see even your wife.
True. Very true.
All right. How about we look at the question that came from student that been given to Dosh yesterday? I think there are some related with the business strategy. How do CJ Century Warehouse plan about the expansion in the future?
Let's see here. I think most of the questions are, you guys can see my screen, right?
Yes, yes.
Dia dah jawab dah soalan-soalan ni. Dia dapat markah tak, bos? Okay, what's the element of designing? I think it's now we're talking about what?
Business strategy?
Business strategy. Do you have this? Okay.
Oh, so already with the answers. Ready.
Yes. Well, I'm just gonna answer generally. There's answer here which I will share with the lecturers later. But the warehouse plan to expand is the MD's goal initially was to hit the 5 million square feet mark. So we're now about 300,000 square feet short of that. He believes that the more square footage we have, the more captive the business can be to us because every product needs a house. So that's the strategy. He's always into building warehouses. He's always into expanding the footprint. So if you ask us about strategy in expansion, first, we build warehouses. Second, we rent warehouses as well. So our ratio of building to rent is, of course, rent is much more higher to build because it's much more ready-made facilities. But the challenge of not having a self-built facility is that we cannot customize the facility to the requirements that we want. So sometimes we have to make do with whatever the facility offers. Like I mentioned earlier in the presentation, also we have expanded the E&E facility in Port Klang from 200,000 square feet to soon to be 400,000 square feet, 44,000 pallet position. So that's, we are renting a very big warehouse in Port Klang, carrying about 32 bays, dock levelers. So we can, do in and out from the front and the back of the warehouse. If we can share further, maybe the next visit, we can highlight this warehouse facility. It's really big. When you combine the two, it's going to be super giant. We can actually stage about 100 containers outside, and then we can take about 60 trucks at the same time. So yeah, but like what Afwan said lah, inventory is going to be a nightmare to manage lah in that kind of facility. But yeah, of course, if you answer about strategy, yes, we expand the quickest through renting, and then of course when the market has been more captive, customers are staying with us longer, then we look into building warehouses. Even like if I can share a bit more, our current facility, the 3-story facility, will be one floor will be vacated in the next month, moving to the new facility. So we allow this facility then to have space for a different type of customer to come in. So what I say being captive is that this building is ours. So whenever we see a customer that's steady with us for a few years, then we can move them to a rented facility. Then we can allow more new customers coming in, because how we capture the business is through actually availability of space at the time. So the more space or the more adequate space you have for the customer, the much more higher chances that you can capture the customer business. Because given the pandemic situation, most of the space that they are looking for is actually on ad hoc basis, because their warehouse cannot keep up to the volume anymore. They need to find additional space. So having ready space helps the business. So when it comes to business strategy lah. Then I think the second question is how long much still Malaysia logistic industry required to develop in order to cope with industry IR 4.0. Challenging, I would say. Not that soon, but we are gearing towards that. I think a lot of mindset change has to happen. That's generally how I want to answer it lah. We have facilities in Korea, in China that has all this automation, and then but adopting it, like I said, it has to be customized, it has to be localized. The people have to be ready for this. So I would having our first DPS roll out a few days ago is a good milestone for the company that we are moving towards IR 4.0. So hopefully we can look into more automation in the future. For our beverage business also, we are implementing the PDAs. That means we are not using papers anymore. We are using PDAs for our Etika warehouse. We are deploying 33 units of the PDAs for the users to use. We are also adopting a much more sophisticated system logic, allows the system to tell us to do housekeeping, do replenishment, Those are things that leading towards more optimized headcount in operation. So I think, yeah, I will not know how long will it take, but we are gearing towards that. And lucky for us here today that we have the DPS system up over 3 days already. So yeah, hopefully everything goes well and more expansion to be taken up. And then the last question is there's two more questions. Why CJ only has small amount of shop compared to other competitor? I think this is more related to parcel. So I guess we have expanded to 44 branches across for the past I think 4 or 5 years. We have acquired about 400 trucks. So these are all investment related. This is very heavy cash outlay for the company. So I think I wouldn't say small, I would say it's commendable, sizable to the investment. It's just that it depends on the expandability of the revenue stream that we get from our customers. So the more revenue we get, the more profit we get, the more we can invest into the business. So that differs from company A to company B, on especially when it comes to how they want to enter the market, what strategy they use to actually capture the market. Hope that answers the question. I think last question would be the bigger competitor of the company. So since 5 years ago, we have acquired by CJ. We have repositioned ourselves rather than being a local player, the number 2 or top 3 local public listed company, to becoming a MNC company. So people like DHL, Siva, LF, they are looking at us as a direct competition now. So biggest threats I would say is from my point of view is proactiveness to market advancement. That means that we are still we still have a bit of the traditional type of businesses that we go for. We are not fully e-com oriented type of business, which is the fastest growing market. If I can share, Shopee have grown 4 times over the past 1 year since the pandemic. So, we're not capturing that kind of opportunity there. Of course, the next part of that is investment opportunities. That means putting the money, putting the resources in the right place. There's always a challenge, always a dicey situation, whether you want to build a warehouse or you want to rent a warehouse. You want to invest in automation or you don't want to invest in automation. Whether it's going to give you the output. Is it worth the money putting in or not? That's always a dicey situation. And I think the last answer to this is more of the cost solution approach. When it comes to logistics, traditionally people want the cheapest possible solution there is. I want the cheapest rate, I want the cheapest warehouse space. But it seems that we internally as a company, we are not actually gearing towards that. We are more on the solution-based type of selling. So we engage the customer more in understanding their business, number 1. Number 2, we are also, we spend a bit of time to develop possible ideas, solutions that the customer may or may not be able to look at. So that, when you have this kind of balance, understanding the business and solutions, we can actually command a better pricing. But, this is pretty much depends on the customer orientation, whether they want to have that, they want to take on that journey, or they just want a simple straight cut of I want the cheapest, the best solution there is. So when it comes to cheapest and the best, you cannot get the both lah. You want to get married also, very pretty girl, you have to pay a bit more, right? Unlikely you get, the pretty and cheaper one, but yeah. Sorry if I use that analogy wrong, but that's how I can think right now. You want a fast car, you have to, pay a bit more for the fast car lah, I would say, yeah.
Yeah, definitely, right?
Yeah.
Nothing is
But it's also it's a very squeezing industry, I would say. So we have to CJ is geared to use a bit more of our brains and experiences to actually sell greater value than just the dollar and cent on the paper.
But I do agree, Dosh. We cannot use accounting concept in logistics, right? Accounting always push for the lower price, but logistics, if you pay peanuts, you got monkeys. So you have to balance between cost and then the services being provided.
Yeah, correct.
I mean, the contradiction between accounting and logistics.
Yes, correct. Even the simplest fact of us going to source for cheaper packaging material for our customer. Let's say the customer paying $1 for a box right now. I managed to source to get it for 80 cents. I will not charge them 80 cents because it is a service that I provide to do the research, to do the study, to actually get a cheaper a replacement product for them, and also do the study to make sure that their product will not be compromised with this new packaging item. So, we can't really, although we can find the cheap, finding something cost effective is also a service that we provide. So therefore, it's a value. So, I rather sell back the carton at RM1, even if my cost is 80 cents, because of the service that I provided to the customer. Hmm.
Alright, thanks, Dosh.
Dosh,
Yeah,
Dosh, I think this question is the most anticipated question from student when they are graduating later.
Okay.
How's the current salary market? How much should they put in their expected salary in their resume later?
I think Eating have answered this, right? There you go.
Yeah. 1,008 to 2,400. Okay, so students, okay, please put your amount in between this range. Alright.
Me as an interviewer, numbers are numbers lah, but I usually go for character first. If you have a very positive character, you're very energetic, then it will attract more, because you and I know that what kind of people we need in the industry. If we need people who are very dynamic, we need people who are very energetic to drive the company.
Yes, so, we want to choose someone to be part of our team, right?
Correct.
Yeah. You should choose
it's very team-driven type of business. It purely depend on another person. One person cannot do everything.
Correct. It's high teamwork requirement. Okay, and one more thing. Okay, since COVID-19, right? I believe the incoming and outgoing won't be balanced.
Yes.
Right. More incoming, but the outgoing must be a bit drop in numbers. So how?
It can be very massive,
What kind of strategy has been used to overcome this stock overload?
There. I have the answer here. Okay, number one, we must plan with the customer. The customer have their sources. For example, at Tupperware, I have multiple manufacturing facilities. We are receiving about 6 trucks a day. So every day, what I do is I report the available locations I have inside the warehouse for the day. So when we are running out of locations, we tell them that, wait, instead of sending 6 trucks, can you plan for 3 trucks this week? And then prioritize what item you need to go out first. So that's number one, planning with the customer important. Planning for overflow sites is also important. We need to also have contingency of locations. So, for example, our E&E business, media, one time they restock, it will be in the amounts of 100 of container. So with the FMCO, there's no outbound. Right now, we are holding about 100 containers on site that we can't unload because there's no space. So that's why we reacted, and we are opening this 200,000 square feet facility in Perdana Industrial Park to be able to stage these containers. Number one, when this thing happen again. Number two, we have adequate space to store the item. And then planning of inbound activities is also necessary. For example, that how you want to store the item. You want to stage them in the aisles, you want to put them on the racks directly. These are very much inventory related type of strategy, because you know what item is going out, what items are coming in. So we can actually somehow do a gamble. We can put the items in the aisle right now because I know that there are certain locations that are going to be picked for order. Then we play around with that. Although we have no space, but somehow with that, it allows us to play about up to 100 pallets at one time here in Tupperware. So for this, you need a good Excel skill and also good logic to have all these strategies and do the analysis, because we are all number-driven people.
But Dosh, at the end of the day, logistician usually do first, improvise later.
That one is something that I agree, but I think if we can somehow work towards a much more predictive situation with analytical skill, it can help.
Yes.
I agree with you. A lot of us make decisions based on gut feel. Through my experience, through my field, we go this way. But sometimes we get caught as well. I mean, customers are also getting smarter now. They know systems can produce data, so they want actually to be data backed up justifications.
Data driven decision.
Yes, we are gearing towards that.
Yeah, but usually practitioner like that lah kan. Okay, do it first and then we improvise until we find the correct tune.
Yeah, if you want to do data-driven decision, it's a never-ending journey. Also, you will fall into a rabbit hole because the data keep changing, so dynamic. So, as managers, we have to learn how to cut off with as much information that we have right now. Make a decision. If you want to wait for all the data to come in and for us to do all the analysis necessary, we're already probably 2-3 days behind, and we get caught. Yeah, so that's why, like you said, lah, means there are two situation. Do first, react later. But do first with calculated risk lah, I would say. And then put some consideration before you make the call.
Like we can minimize potential risk, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah. And let's see.
We are now 10 minutes past 12. Can we shorten our discussion so we can conclude our virtual visit?
Yeah, sure, no problem. I'm happy to be hosting you guys for 2 hours.
Tosh, I think you have another video to show, right?
Kalau ada pun yang panjangnya lah, tetapi I can share later. This is a 9-minute video.
Okay.
If I can share, this is pretty much the, the less exciting version of the video. Just want to show this is the warehouse, and then we are receiving trucks and also containers. Then we have this is the unloading activity. We stage the items here. We do all the checking here. So you can see my friend Aziz here is doing the checking of the item, making sure whatever he received on the document is matched with the physical item. Then we do the, this is what you call staging before the put away. And we also have Blues here doing the put away for us. This location is being determined by the system. You just follow the system. Soon we'll have all the full scanning. So when you put the item inside the rack, you have to scan the item and the location to confirm to the system that you have put it in the right place. So yeah, if I can highlight to the students that this process is also very critical. If you put the wrong item in the wrong location, the next person is going to go find the item and have a nightmare. So inventory management is very crucial. It's very dreaded. I can tell you, it's like, I think for the lecturers, we also agree, like managing inventory is like having SPM every year, right? One time, one stock count is like, wah, taking SPM 3 days tak tidur.
Agree.
And then the worst nightmare is there are too many things to write off.
Yeah, correct. So what we're seeing here is a letdown process. That means replenishment. So my friend Turbo here is actually trying to show off, try to pick up the pallet at the highest level. So it's taking a bit of time to do that. So from here, he will transfer the item from storage location to the pick place location. So pick place location, as you can see, is down here. So he put it in an empty location that inventory team have determined lah. So he goes off. So this is pick list distribution. Kak Syam here is distributing the pick list. Currently, we're still using paper. And here we have our bulk picking station. This is our strategy to have higher productivity with less item. It looks a bit messy, yes, but this is MCO. I'm running only with 60 resources. This is the strategy that I have to put in to maximize my output daily. So instead of people going to locations inside the rack, we are putting the boxes as locations. So they have less traveling. So less traveling, less fatigue, better attention, better production.
Josh, for picking, are you controlled by batch number or only by system advice?
Okay, system. We go by system advice. There's no FIFO for plastic item because plastic item shelf life is 10 years. So we don't have FIFO. So we go by the system logic is go by the smallest quantity to location to smallest quantity available in that location. Yeah. Right. Or to the biggest UOM, which is one pallet. So what you can see here is our outbound staging. We mark every yellow here is the store name. Green means check and ready to go. So when the transporter come, they can see, okay, which one to pick up, which one not to pick up. Red color means still checking, not ready to go.
Oh.
Yeah, this staging before ship out.
Yes. So my friend here is doing checking. So he has to make sure against the tally sheet. Let's say this shop calls for 300 carton. He has to make sure all 300 cartons are correct. So this process is pretty I would say intense. It will take about 1 hour, half hour to 1 hour to check. So with the new system coming in, we will have the outbound scanning, so the guy doesn't have to use his eyes to check anymore. It's just scanning the carton by carton. So the system will eliminate total cartons until they find the discrepancy. So lucky for us, we have a CJ truck here. We use CJ for the e-com deliveries. So this guy is coming in for e-com pickup. So every time they come in, we produce a tally sheet that says how many cartons supposed to go out. Then our guy will help load the item in, and then the truck operator have to arrange the carton inside the truck himself. So once he's done, he signs the tally sheet, then he drives off and then close, and then off he goes.
So for this facility, only Tupperware products.
Yes,
Okay,
it's
so
a customer dedicated site.
dedicated site.
Yes, we have multi sites as well. So it's it's a mixture of each. So this is the new DPS system.
In-house system, right?
Yeah, this is developed by Korea. New baby for me. So you can see actually the pickers are using scanner. So they scan the item, they can see the information on the tab, correct or not, or pass it to the next picker. So here we implement zone picking in the flow rack. So each area is divided into 6, and each zone is being managed by one picker. We have just so they pick up the item, scan, and then the system will tell you, okay, correct item, put it in this box. Okay, go. And once it's done, then he will push it to the auto conveyor to the right. As you can see, this one you call it highway. So once order is completed, it's being gone to we send them to a shortcut. So this guy will go to the end of the line to do scanning.
Why two ways? Why two lines? Of the rolling
Okay.
rails?
Let me just freeze it. Yeah. Okay, why two lines? Okay.
Yeah.
First, this is what we're seeing here. Well, I don't have a pointer here. Okay. On the left side is the picking line. So when you're still picking the order, the cartons will be on the left side of the conveyor. If this order is completed, that means halfway through the picking zone, the box is already full, completed. Then we have the highway on the right side, which is auto conveyor. So once it's completed, you just push the box to the other side. This one will be bringing the completed order to the end of the line for checking.
So the second line is definitely for the complete item.
Yes.
And for the first line is for the somehow like staging lah.
Yes, picking lah. That means it's a working area lah.
Yeah, working area lah.
So it helps with productivity lah. When order completed, I'll go first so that the checker at the end of the line doesn't have to wait for all the cartons to come in. So whatever completed first, we will come to them. So the challenge in operating this is actually trying to make every element work like clockwork. That means we don't depend on each process, and the dependency on each process is less, but we can make it cyclical, that we can actually run 6 cycles, 7 cycles at the same time. If you notice the video here on the left side, the rack is still empty. So that means we can top up more items and create more orders inside there. But right now during implementation, I try not to have multiple cycle in one run. I try to have one cycle in one run first. So once we're familiarized with this cycle, you can start seeing the growth of these SKUs inside here. That means that I can produce more order in one line. But it's a learning curve lah. I would say automation, like you say, if it's just with a snap of finger, everything works perfect. But in my field, through my experience, this is challenging
and prone to hiccup, right?
Yes, anything can happen. Data transfer gone, server down, network down. This thing will work. It's very dependent on technology. And infra also. And Malaysia is not the best in infrastructure. So our challenge here, when we adopt Korean technology here, we did not anticipate that internet can be an issue.
Oh, okay. And then server cannot cope.
Server cannot cope. The server gets jammed up because of the data cannot be transferred. I'm running here 48 gig server. Every data transfer costs me about 32 gig. So imagine my server is getting hit up every time.
Okay.
Pernah sekali the server betul-betul tutup 2 hari. Tak boleh buat apa, tidur.
Wih, kacau tu.
Kacau.
If that's being the case, I'm not an IT guy, so I can't do anything. I can just sit and pray and see what happens.
You can just email lah to the IT guy.
Yeah, please help. And then WhatsApp, please help. That's as much as you can do.
Help me.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, understanding technology is one thing, adopting technology is one thing, application is also another thing lah. I mean, we have to know lah. We are somehow limited also. You want to adopt all this automation, we have to consider the infrastructure. Like even I told the Korean team, you cannot complain about the network. You complain further, I will call the Prime Minister and talk to you. It's beyond my control already.
Yes. I think that's why some of the warehouse still stick to the conventional way, right?
Hmm.
Due to this hecticness. No?
Cool.
Yeah. But yeah, the thing in the warehouse is actually very mind blowing. You can see various kind of issues,
Hmm.
and then you can see also various kinds of unknown.
Hmm.
Okay, you think you did correctly, but somehow it backfire you back
Yeah,
later
correct.
on.
Oh yeah, one advice to the students, I mean, logistic world is not black and white, It's a very big gray in between the black and white. Yeah, you cannot say A is correct every time. A
Yeah.
can be wrong in another situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I
Okay.
think advice to the students, have an open mind. It's a very big gray area, but I can tell you, warehousing to me after 1 year full time being in projects, very interesting. It's like every day when I think of something to do, we put it into action. You can see results right away. So it's very satisfying to my note lah.
Yeah, definitely. Warehouse is actually very easy. It's just
Hmm.
storing things, but
Yes.
it's too complicated.
Yes. In logic, you see a
Logic
group,
is
you
very easy.
keep
And supposed to keep there, put there, and then handle for the arrangement to pick it up and send it to the distributor or something. But
yes.
in order to fulfill all that,
Yeah.
there are many things
Yeah.
that could jeopardize our operation. Uh,
So for
Sometimes,
for for the students, I mean, theoretical knowledge is important, but practical knowledge is far more important. Do expose. I mean, like for if students need to practice, right, in your head, every time you receive a product from somewhere or you see, you're holding a tumbler or your laptop, try to think where it come from. How did they make it? How did they pack it? How did it reach to you? So those are the simple questions that you can practice every day to help you, you know, go on in the logistics. It's very interesting to understand. If you go to San Francisco Coffee, they actually on their one of their trays, they will show you how the coffee is being transferred from the plant to the factory to you. So they show you the whole supply chain. So very interesting lah for me. If I try to see everything that way, it's very fascinating.
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah.
So I
Have
think
we finished with the video? Have
the
we finished
video
with the video?
dah habis dah.
Habis dah?
Barang ni dah sampai dekat abang hujung ni nanti, dia angkat pergi hujung sebab line saya tak habis lagi. Atau imagine lah berapa banyak carton yang ada ni.
So it is during MCO.
This is during MCO. You can see not many people but a lot of boxes.
My goodness.
Kalau
So,
orang tanya saya sembahyang Jumaat dengan siapa, saya sembahyang Jumaat berjemaah dengan carton.
so during normal operation now,
During normal I don't know, I think because we started the business in October.
during pandemic
Maybe,
already.
yeah, dah pandemic dah time tu. So I think the lesser pandemic period was the November, December lah. So that was the Christmas period up to Chinese New Year because Chinese New Year dah start balik MCO kan. So yeah, it was. But the FMCO last month was the most taxing one lah. We have to reduce the resources. That yang challenging lah. Because prior to this, the whole MCO situation for our industry is just the compliance to the SOP. That means your face mask, your social distancing, and your regular sanitization. That's all. But when it comes to limiting the hours, limiting the resource, it adds another dimension lah to solutioning. Because the customer don't care what I pay you this, I pay you to provide a service. You have to produce the output. So it's a constant discussion with the customer. The customer also, they can be compassionate also lah. I mean, they can understand the situation, but somehow they are being forced by their customers as well. They have orders to fulfill, so sometimes no choice. They have to find a compromise.
Yes.
Okay.
It happens with customers a lot, right? They do
Yep.
have their target, and their target is by actually pushing their target on us.
Mm.
Mm.
True. It's a push business.
Yeah, push business.
Yeah.
So,
But push is what drives us, right? Without push, we will not drive us to further improvement, to further efficiency.
Yes, continuous improvement. Yeah, continuous improvement only can be materialized by constant pressure from customer.
Hmm. So that's the ni lah, the situation that we are facing lah, and that's the I think students have to be prepared to face all this lah.
And I believe one more thing, students should be prepared before they're joining their career world. Try to think outside the box. Do not try to contain with the normal standard.
Yeah.
Yes, sometimes situation happens where logic that you currently hold on cannot be applied. You apply different kind of logic in that kind of in that kind of situation.
alright. I think
Alright.
25 minutes, Afwan.
Yeah.
To 12.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody.
So I think we can conclude, Dosh. We can conclude, Afwan and Dosh, that this is a very, very good session. You have shown the ground operational activities from the warehouse perspective and logistic perspective from the CJ Century. So for information to the everyone, today we have 185 participants. 185 participants.
Yay, the most.
Because I know we cannot go 185 cannot go to the warehouse at one time to visit, right? But this approach we're able to do that.
Yeah. So yeah, I like to thank the team that has been working on this presentation, Jen, Iting, and Husna for preparing the video. Zanil, if you have any last words to share with the UTAR team.
All right, I hope it's been a fruitful briefing done by Dosh. I think in the future, I think a physical site visit will be much more impactful. Yeah.
Yeah, true.
But over a period of time, I think we'll try our best, to come up with better videos, more detailed videos, more segmentized to show each details. That's for the coming future.
Yeah.
I think for UTAR also, maybe, like this is the first one, is very general in a way that maybe we can then zoom into this detail, because I don't want to the whole plan also, when you ask us for virtual visit, I was like, okay, do I go super detail and bore everybody, or I just go very simple? So I think today is, I hope I have met all the objectives that you guys are expecting lah.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Dosh, Zanil, Rabiatul. By the way, can we have a photo session? Can all the team from CJ, can you switch on your camera? Let's have a photo session. Afwan, can you take the picture as well? And also from UTAR, can we have a photo session?
How much more can we fit? Can we fit a lot of people in the screen?
I try.
Oh, boleh. All right. Hi, Ting.
Okay. Dr. Gideon is here.
I think Dr. Azam,
yes,
you can make a layout together mode.
Layout together mode. Together mode. Okay, let me try together mode.
Okay, Mr. Mohan dekat rumah. Hari ni awak hospital.
Let me take. Okay, everyone ready? I'm gonna go a larger preview. All right. Okay. Wait. Please smile. Okay, ready? Please smile. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Wait for one more. Wait. Okay, well, one more time. 1, 2, 3. Okay, good. Okay, thank you, everyone, for participating in this event. Many thanks to the team from the CJ Century. Now it's almost 12:30. We exceeded 30 minutes of our allocated time.
It's okay, I order my Grab already.
That's the beauty of technology. That's the beauty of
Yes.
technology now.
Yeah.
We able to do the event. So I'm really glad that we have done this. So many thanks to Team CJ Century. Many thanks to Dodge. Many thanks from the team from CJ. Many thanks from the UTAR Faculty of Science for conducting this
Thank
event.
you for all the participation. I mean, like, I didn't expect to have this much students participating. It's super nice to have. Happy to share.
Perhaps Dosh, next year I can arrange one trip to your warehouse because
Boleh.
I'm teaching
Bring
warehouse
everybody.
management.
Okay, boleh. Kita talk further, boleh? No problem.
Yeah, we can talk further. If the MCO not extended anymore lah.
Yes. Anyway,
Yes.
thank you everyone. Thanks to the student and other guests that will join this webinar. So we hope you can participate again with our programs in the future. Thank you, student as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Firdaus.
Recording now.
Stay safe, everybody.
Stay safe, everybody.
Yeah.